Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II, World at War with our Allied playthrough. What you are looking at here is the state of the world in 1942, April 24th. A lot better than the state of the world looked at that time. However, the Pacific still suffering plenty of losses recently, and Spain joining the Axis. That didn't happen in real life. We will go ahead and hit end turn, as we previously took care of everything, including the USSR's turn to the best of our ability, without trying to overextend ourselves or necessarily trade equal blows for anything. We'll see how the Axis responds, but we're definitely making a lot of progress in all of Europe. Let's see. Given the large armored formations that both sides can deploy on the Eastern Front, there have been calls for the formation of dedicated anti-tank units. These will be useful when encountering enemy armored formation, but will be fragile when fighting enemy infantry. We could at low cost quickly form 3 dedicated anti-tanks at Gorky for 200 MPPs at 50 a turn for 4 turns. They will deploy at half strength and will need upgrading. Would you like to form them? Researching and upgrading these units with anti-tank weapons will ensure they can inflict maximum damage. It's cheaper to form these units by saying yes than to purchase them via the purchase screen. Well, therefore, I will say yes. I wasn't necessarily going to go for anti-tanks, but if I can pay for them at a measly 50 MPPs a turn for 4 turns, that budgets in pretty well. Because there's the overall of how much MPPs do I have right now, and then there's the how much MPPs am I going to have in the long run. And so long as it's not 200 MPPs up front, well, that's fine. And I think this is actually going to be a lot cheaper, even if you account for reinforcing and stuff like that, than actually buying these myself. So yeah. We'll definitely go ahead and do this. Oh, and we get them immediately, do we? Yep, 3 anti-tank units immediately. Okay. We even get to skip the timing. And we blockade the port of Bordeaux. Been a while since we did that. I just wanted to have the subs over here just to maybe lure out any Australians. Spanish. Australian UK convoy ready. Canadians vote on a plebiscite to allow conscription. What's a plebiscite? Tech. Long-range aircraft, ooh. Logistics, ooh. Tech. Advanced subs, ooh. That's good. Science support, command and control development. I'm remembering something. Did I remember to move the submarine I have in the Pacific? I don't actually know. I probably didn't. I'll take care of that after this end turn's done. I'll move it. I probably forgot all about it. I just had like a stroke remembering that. 686, end of the turn for the UK. Good. America collecting 571 after everything is sending to the UK, and else getting 10 from Venezuela. I still hate how I poured 250 MPPs into this. I probably didn't even need to. The convoys just started already, you know? And I can't get my money back, so that sucks. Well, you gotta learn the hard way. 41 to the UK from India. That's nice. As the industrial capacity goes up, we can send more and more because it's 25% exactly. And the UK definitely needs it more than India. Let's see. Did they just move everything away from the Brest front? Okay, no, they didn't. I just lost sight over it. Spanish light cruisers showing up by our British subs. So it was still around there. I thought it had gotten back to port. I just missed it. Germans are cycling out units. This one came off of Memel, trying to be offensive and damage our tanks in the front. Yep, that German HQ retreating just as I thought. Course coming up to back it up. The Romanian HQ is retreating, but that means their presence of HQs on the front should be a lot more limited, meaning that was a very successful operation. They're moving tanks off the front line. They're moving units around like crazy. I intended to make them panic with my brash actions, and it does seem that I am accomplishing that effect. A lot of reinforcing on the front line and just trying to move things in to block me, but they can't. Yeah, I stretched them thin. They're operating stuff away. They're driving things away as they can. They're afraid. Italian sub stopping off the coast of Greece. Oh, German heavy cruiser running into my sub, dealing no damage but taking a bunch. Nice. It's not even a good sub. Interceptors flying, protection for this Greek core over here near the Albanians. Well, the Italians in Albania, who have unfortunately reinforced back to max again. Bombers dropping bombs on that core successfully. No damage done, however. Interceptors defending on the Soviet southern front in Ukraine. Ooh, a lot of damage to our fighters. That's not good. We have more fighters over here. Ooh. I think we just lost like half that fighter unit. Corps on the front by the river getting fucked up. Is that bomber just bombing the location of the fucking interceptors? I think it is. I really think it is. Interceptors running. This interceptor gets multiple interceptions. I think that probably comes from aerial warfare or something, because the Soviets don't get multiple interceptions. Those warfare things, I thought they were just morale and stuff. They are far more important than I ever thought they would be. Okay, one of our units getting pushed off the front line back there. Ooh, that unit I moved up in the far is taking a lot of damage. Uh-oh. German advances making a lot of damage happen in some locations. The unit at Minsk deciding not to run and instead deciding to fight. It's going to get completely cut off. That's very ballsy. Defensive artillery firing. This is exactly why I was moving this up rather than upgrading it. Hopefully that helps. Take 2 damage. Unfortunately, deal none. And they attacked over a river. That's quite a shame. Italians reinforcing on the front. Germans moving back into Memel, but you're giving up your emplacements. Papua New Guinea units not moving to attack us, which is good. Italian HQ arriving right behind the Italian units in Albania. Yeah, they are definitely moving units around. Looks like they moved the core off of Nantes somewhere else, and they're leaving the army on Nantes instead, which stops their whole capacity for pushing. So, not so bad. We don't have more units over there still, but... Okay, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I have to do. A lot of stuff coming. Corps on Berlin. Tanks in Yugoslavia. Those tanks have been sitting there for a while. Van Doeng. Manila Corps. Corps in the Hague? One of those. Getting a bunch of new units for America. Anti-air that I ordered for China, and India getting the Slim HQ. Okay, so I probably totally forgot to move the S-42 sub here. 100% forgot to move this on my own. Either that or last turn was just way longer than I remembered, but I think I forgot to move both the Colorado battleship and I forgot to move the S-42 sub. So, what is the new battleship we got? The Massachusetts battleship, which can be deployed anywhere in mainland USA. Alright. Well, we do want to get things moving, I'll tell you that much. We also have some Strat bombers that can only deploy at Pittsburgh. Alright. Well, they'll probably be sent somewhere else. We'll just drop them at Pittsburgh since they have to go there. We also have the 3rd Army that's deploying at Charleston. So let's go ahead and deploy that there. The Bradley HQ, which is deploying at Charleston. I'll probably send both of these things west to the West Coast. We're not using these for anything in Europe. We're focusing America wholly on Japan, which, honestly, by the looks of it, we'll need to. We'll deploy this battleship over here near San Francisco, because we want to end up getting the battleship and everything over towards Pearl and the front. So looking over at Pearl Harbor, the Nautilus sub is in fact in silent mode, probably because it was running away from its most recent fights. I guess that makes it harder to find. We do have advanced subs now, so we do want to definitely give that to it. So we'll go ahead and upgrade the Nautilus with advanced subs. We have the Maryland battleship that can get naval weapon level 2, so we'll do that. New Orleans heavy cruiser, which needs the entire works, having spawned on Pearl, I believe, with nothing. And the Lexington carrier, which needs to get its aircraft back and may still have an upgrade it can do, meaning these ships are going to be clogging up Pearl for a whole nother turn. I do still wish to get the 2nd Marine Division Special Forces way down south, so we're probably going to naval cruise this long-range transport. We ideally can retake the Fiji Islands with it, since the Japanese AI bum rush getting down here, and kind of reattain complete control over this island chain. That would be ideal. It would help keep the region safe. Ideally, we can just head straight south for right now, and kind of move it in within the confines of our own islands over here around American Samoa. So we're going to go ahead and just send this all the way down south. I'm not going to land it here, but it is going to kind of hide amidst the, what is this, an archipelago? Hopefully I'm using that word correctly. And hopefully we can retake Suva for the UK. It is a national morale objective and secondary supply. Sounds important. I don't know what secondary supply even means. Like, these places don't have more supply than non-secondary supply locations, so Don't really understand that, but hopefully the 2nd Marine Group will be able to reclaim that, because there's not really anyone else capable of doing it. The Australians are not kitted up and ready to even try. The Special Forces are seemingly the optimal choice if the AI doing it is anything to go by. The UK's points are best spent over in Europe for the time being to help the Soviets out, because hopefully if we bring a swift end to Europe, utilizing the UK's forces over there, we can just completely dogpile on the Japanese with everyone, quote unquote. I don't know. We really just need to defeat the Navy. Oh, they finally got their convoy up from the Dutch East Indies. Let's look at the graphs. Convoys. Oh, yeah. Holy shit. So they went from getting like 10 at most convoy income from the Philippines or whatever, skyrocket that bitch right up to almost 80, recovering a lot of what they lost. Yeah, the rest of what they're missing is just stuff that I've taken over. But they got their DEI income back. Ooh, that's going to give them some strength against us, but not enough for the losses that they've suffered, I hope. Our advance by Wake to finish off as much of the Japanese fleet that showed up to Pearl is complete, however. It's time to get these ships moving back, so we're going to go ahead and naval cruise, just so we can kind of keep the ships somewhere safe yet in the area, keep them kind of like behind Pearl. I feel like we're less likely to see any Japanese back there. With the 2 battleships just behind Pearl as they await the opening of some of the docks. Everything else here is actually fairly healthy. We have other things that could do with waiting. We will go ahead and let's send the Wainwright Destroyer right here to wait. We'll send the Tuscaloosa Heavy Cruiser nearby it, as well as the Chicago Heavy Cruiser. Everything else here is full health, and we should probably treat it that way. We can accumulate probably much of our force off of Johnston Island, as we were doing. So I'll go ahead and probably do that, including the Idaho battleship. We'll go ahead and put the battleships about 2 hexes before Johnston. And then we have it, Astoria Heavy Cruiser, 2 destroyers, some other things we need to technically do with these, ideally. Let's say we send the Leary Destroyer down near Kwajalein, which we can see there's still no enemies near. The Somers Destroyer actually really could use getting naval weaponry level 2. It would help. So we'll send it a little in the rear of the formation. The Astoria Heavy Cruiser is going to go just southeast of Johnston, and the Brooklyn Light Cruiser just northeast. And we have the Leary Destroyer keeping an eye over here, and the main reason I'm bringing it over here is because the 1st Marine Division Special Forces are going to load up on a regular amphibious transport in order to save about, how much is that? 11 or 12 MPPs. I could also upgrade this right here. For some reason, the supply of this has not gone down with everything else. The port here only has 4 supply. The settlement only has 3 supply. Or 4, apparently, because it's coming from the port, that's why. But the Special Forces has 8. I don't know why. I don't know if that's from amphibiously landing or what have you, but we can keep him on the offensive. I can upgrade him. I don't want to upgrade him. I don't want to really necessarily deal with giving out the mobility to him right now. He has another job. So, regular amphibious transport. This is just normal. Apparently, we can sail 1 hex. I guess I'll... What's the actual movement range of this? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4... Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then if we went from here, think like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The transports, the regular amphibs may not be the best. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can make it here. And then let's say they probably wouldn't embark here, but let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we get really lucky with placement, the regular amphibious will be enough to carry out like these back-to-back naval movements. For now, I will move this south one. I know it will lose supply when it's at sea in a regular amphibious transport. However, by the looks of it, the naval landings themselves are enough to keep our supplies high, I guess? Definitely doesn't go for over here in China. These units ran out of supply real quick, like. So I'm not exactly sure what the mechanic here is. But well, no, we won't figure it out. We'll work with what we know is what we'll do. But we're going to go down to Tarawa. We're going to take that from the Axis, occupy that. We'll go for Nauru, which is actually reclaiming a mine for the UK, which would help their funding. Which, who knows, maybe one day we'll need to just stop American Lend-Lease and just focus America entirely on the Pacific. But the UK can help with that more than anybody, so Lend-Lease is still probably helpful. But damn, Russia would become kind of useless, huh? Since mainland China doesn't need help. Russia. Let's see. Russia can get some ships, but not a lot. Not a lot. They'd need to get some weirdly specific stuff that they don't have, research that they don't have. It would just be a mess. To try to involve them with Japan, it would be a mess. Even sending China to Japan's a little bit of a mess, because China's just claiming a bunch of stuff, which I guess counts as it occupying. It must be able to keep track of what countries occupied what due to the non-cooperative status of it. Because if China would not let other allies resupply where China has taken, or even operate, then theoretically, because China also cannot operate in other allied territory, then technically speaking, the game understands that China occupied this somehow. And I don't think that would actually matter so long as America stepped on Tokyo, but seeing as Japan's going to be the final thing, it just won't matter anyway. I'm just trying to learn some things here. I just noticed I accidentally made a V-shape. That's funny. We do still have the first Air Force fighters here that do need to go ahead and reinforce. Otherwise, we still have 2 more fighters and some TAC bombers, so we do have extra fighters sitting around. Like I was saying, we do want the Colorado to join the main fleet over to the west, so we will go ahead and speed this up as we sail it. We'll sail it just in front of Pearl, so it goes ahead and can join the main formation here. We need way more escorts. We have a lot of battleships and cruisers, so we need more destroyers, and we need to rebuild our carrier fleet. I know we have the American destroyer down here, the Aylwin. There's still the 2 Jap subs down here being a nuisance. Absolute nuisance. I'm afraid to send the Aylwin down there all by itself, however. I feel no matter what damage that Japan might be doing to this, risking the Aylwin is maybe not the smartest idea. Now, I don't want to just like let these operate uninhibited. I don't have many options right now, though. The nearest anything that can deal with it would probably... No, I don't even know. Our destroyers are just not that good at ASW yet to begin with. And then for carriers, we only have 1 remaining for the Americans. We'll get a second one. It's already building. Started at the beginning. And then there's the Indomitable carrier here. We don't have any escort carriers. Those would be really good at dealing with this, but... Yeah, we don't have enough escorts in the Pacific. It's unfortunate. But it's something that I think we're just going to have to deal with. I think I will allow the Japanese subs to just continue out here. They can't be that big of a threat. Not a whole lot of MPPs actually trails from New Zealand and Australia. Australia more than New Zealand, but I'd rather the destroyers be where we have more to lose, which is going to be northeast, for example, towards Fiji. I'm very curious about what's over here by Fiji. Let's go ahead and kind of take a peek over in the area with this destroyer, why don't we? Alright, well the port at least is empty. That doesn't necessarily tell me the status of Suva itself, but if the port is empty, that's a good sign. We can take a peek before we actually send the special forces over here, and we can have something to assist in case a submarine finds the special forces, which would be highly unfortunate. I will go ahead and we'll take good old MacArthur here without giving him any further upgrades. 33 MPP to transport this unit. His readiness morale is not the greatest. At least he escaped the Philippines, unlike poor Wainwright, who I left to die. That's one of those things I just hated that I made the mistake of doing, but I didn't understand. We're going to sail MacArthur up here to Port Moresby. We'll move the Kanga Special Forces onto the Kodaka Trail a little bit here. We're going to drop MacArthur off, and because MacArthur, he's not going to have much other use anytime soon. He's rating 6, so he doesn't stand up to most of our HQs, which are actually rating 7, and, well, our generals. And then the 2 rating 8s. We can send him to Port Moresby to help the Australians there by giving them supplies. So number 1, the Corps can get upgraded, and then both of them can actually have enough supply to push out. He'll give them combat bonuses, hopefully, and etc. Right now, what is he? He was buffing some stuff down here that I guess is kind of irrelevant now. I guess I'll leave the Blamey HQ. The Australians have one more general, and they also have one more room for an HQ spot. This is probably like the least useful place to put him, I'm being completely honest. But we'll go ahead and move this 3rd Corps back onto Sydney just to keep it safe. And we'll do the same thing with the 3rd CMF Corps here over by Brisbane, which we don't really have to worry about most of Australia, to be honest. And I don't think most of it's going to come under any siege or anything, especially because the AI now needs to process these special forces after it deals with any offensive scripts it might have. It has to process them as units that need to keep places safe. They've taken all this stuff, but with me killing so many of their units with China, how does it know where to send them to invade? I'm willing to bet the AI is at least smart enough to know not to invade if it cannot defend everything it has taken once the offensive scripts are done and it's thinking for itself, which is why I think I'll have such an easy time taking these islands, albeit with only 1 Marine division. This is going to take, like, this took 1 to land, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, already 7 months by the time we would get to Kwajalein. So probably a whole year for this, or more. Maybe let's just say a year for this 1 Special Forces unit to mop all these islands up here by itself. So, and that's not even including Wake. Another reason why we need more special forces, but we did go ahead and pay for one a few turns ago. With America, we did finish researching 2 techs, Advanced Sub and Spying and Intelligence. I'm going to go ahead and then just resume research for both of them. Spying and Intelligence only has 1 more level to go, and Advanced Subs has, well, a long way to go. But everything we can get helps. This brings us down to 154 MPPs as America already. However, there's not a lot else we need to spend on with America except for buying new units. However, this leaves us with not quite enough money to get a new unit and upgrade it, with the exception of maybe these airships at current full upgrades, which still isn't the greatest. Naval weaponry adding all this capacity to attack naval units. ASW, ironically, adding defense values against fighters and offense value against resources. It's just like a weird strategic bomber that could also kind of hurt ships. Maybe it's dog, shit, sheep is the best way I know how to put it. It's not something we need to prioritize. I need a lot of other things more. I need destroyers and all this other crap. So 154 MPPs remaining as America means this is probably everything we're going to spend as America. India looks like it's finished a lot of things in terms of AA defense and mobility that can be used to upgrade its units, which is going to be a pricey and expensive feat. Firstly, let's deploy the Slim HQ. This guy wasn't even on the list, so he's something different, that's for sure. Not 100% sure where to put him. I guess I could just put him next to Karachi, because ideally he's going to be deploying towards Europe and supplying supplies to assist the Brits in Europe. Now I'm thinking, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, do we actually need this stuff in Europe? Because we're winning in Europe with the Soviets and everything. The job in Africa's done. If I do send these guys anywhere, should it actually be in Europe? Now, I could deploy it over here in the east, all of this stuff. However, the problem over here is not with available total land forces, it's with the availability of transporting those land forces. China's good, but the navies belong to Japan, like the seas, and then the amphibious tech is just not good enough. Do we need Indians over here? No. But with the current situation in Europe, do we need the Indians over there, in Greece specifically? No. No, we really don't, actually. We have more than enough troops to hold this line, and holding this line is doing more than enough to distract the enemies, to allow our investments into the Soviets to do most of the work for us. Brest is isolated from India, and mainly would be resupplied by actual Brits and Canadians, and anyone else in the Americas. So, thinking about India, I'm realizing I might just be better off using them for their historical purpose of defending against Japan. However, Japan's never pushing into Burma at this rate. So, they would go on the offensive instead. But where? Perhaps around Batavia to reclaim the DEI. There's certainly no other force that could get ready for it sooner. As we see, India has its own money. The UK could try to get the Australians ready for it. The Americans are just too far away to make it over there. Okay, I think I have a plan then. However, we don't have access to any long-range amphibious transports. We have one regular transport, because we've been researching logistics, but not amphibious warfare, because I never imagined that this is what I'd be using the Indians for. And I went a little heavy into making a bunch of their units earlier on. So tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and start researching amphibious warfare. We have plenty of room to research a lot of things as India. This amphibious warfare is going to take a while to finish, although hopefully with the catch-up capabilities from sharing with the UK, maybe America as well, India should be able to get that done. In the meantime, it can actually just upgrade its units and then get them ready to actually move somewhere later. So we can take this HQ and actually place it at Madras. Holy crap, that has a rating 9 commander. Why are the Indian commanders so good? I'm sure they're all historically Brits, but like, what the fuck? So we are also gonna, well, we don't need to. I'll say we also probably want to get the V Corps headed elsewhere, but it's not actually going to be that important. They can stay at Karachi. We don't need to try to send them over here. We can, and we probably have more than enough time, to be honest. But we also have other upgrades to do in terms of anti-air and mobility, which is more optional. I think we will go into mobility because I'm completely changing what the Indians are going to do in my head now. Now that I've learned, because I didn't really realize this, how easy Ethiopia would be with just the Brits. If I had invested just a little bit more into the Brits, they could have done this without ever sending any Indians over here, which would have saved me a fair bit of change as India. But, again, learning playthrough. Wow, this sub's in silent? That's funny. I see it, so it's stupid that it's there. Oh, we can maybe bomb it. That'd be a way we could use our TAC bombers here. They've been waiting to do something. But if this is going to be the life of the Indians, then the life of the Indians this shall be. The BAI is going to... can't force march here, so it'll just march up to Addis Ababa. And we will take the Gurkha Special Forces, and we will move them up to the port as well, because they're going to need to transport out. Upgrades that we can't quite get all of, but we can get the AA defense for the heavy artillery. It's just chilling out here. We'll go ahead and get that upgrade. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to utilize the Indians. That's probably one of the biggest things I'll be learning from this playthrough, is how to utilize the Indians when it comes time for PvP. Can they be helpful in Africa? Yes, especially if Rommel shows up. They could be very helpful in Africa, but not by Ethiopia where I sent them. Specifically, up by Cairo, they could make probably a pretty big difference. Could they be helpful in defending Greece? Yes, if the opportunity came. However, they'd have to purchase the units all by themselves early on instead of focusing research, which is kind of what I did. I purchased units early on instead of focusing everything into research, which I'm kind of regretting at this point. Because they'll get actual free units after Pearl Harbor. And so sending them into the Pacific or just keeping them close by to defend India may be more efficient, because think of all the transports that I spent on to get everything out here. Think of everything I purchased to get out here. Maybe it made Ethiopia go a little faster, but was it worth all the money we spent? Was it worth all the transports that we paid for and will have to pay for? Honestly, I'm going to say probably not. But, you know, you live and learn, and this knowledge will really, really help me as we go into PvPs for sure. At the very least, India has been quite a help for funding the UK, so at least we got that much productive done. We'll have the opportunity to make some use of them yet. They were helpful, just inefficiently helpful, and they can continue to be helpful in maybe reclaiming some things over here in the Pacific coming from the west side. They could be the land force that works with the British fleet. It's going to take me probably about a similar amount of time to get both things ready to begin with. Maybe longer, even, to get the Indian amphibious warfare tech up. Who knows? The war in the Pacific is still going to be a long one. The war in Europe going very well. National morale of Germany down to 99%, finally going under 100% for the first time since like the beginning of the game, I think. Italy's holding at 52. and Japan's down to 45. Ironically, Japan, lowest national morale, yet the one that's likely to live the longest, because we have to either take their capitals or get them down to 0 national morale, and I don't know if we can do that without an invasion unless we wait for the nukes. Either way, we'll have a lot of time to think about it as we work our way up to it. We definitely could have gotten there faster had I known more about how the course of the game would go. Some things I never could have known of, like what the AI was going to choose to do, like in Libya. I think India's troops would have been very helpful in Libya had that happened. So I don't regret thinking of sending them over there, but they definitely did not need to be sent over in such force. They definitely could have just been sent straight to Cairo, and if I had done that, I might not be rethinking my usage of them right now. However, I do believe we have figured out a more efficient way to use them now, and a more efficient way to use them in the future playing in PvPs. But for now, that's all we have time for today, so thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.